At the restaurant that night, my girlfriend turned to her friends and chuckled. "He's adorable, but let's be honest, he's not really in my league." The whole table burst into laughter, until I looked up, gave a small smile, and said, "Then you're going to love the rest of your life without me." I settled the bill and walked out. Later that same evening, one of her friends messaged me, "You did exactly what you should have." She had been boasting for weeks that she could easily upgrade. That night she finally said it loud enough for me to hear, with the kind of laugh that slices rather than warms. Her friends joined in, glasses raised, voices sharp and bright. "He's sweet," she said with a knowing smirk, "but truthfully he's a few steps beneath me." The table roared. I didn't join them. I simply met her eyes, the woman I once pictured growing old with, and replied softly, "Perfect. Then you'll be thrilled living without me." You could feel the temperature in the room drop. Her laugh died in her throat. Even her friends froze, suddenly aware they were watching something raw and irreversible. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't plead. I just laid my card on the silver tray, covered the entire evening, and left before the dessert menus arrived. No drama, no slammed doors, just quiet finality. Because when someone humiliates you in front of others, you don't beg for their respect. You remove yourself from their reach. That same night, while she was still uploading perfectly filtered birthday pictures, one of the girls from the table texted me. "You handled that like a king." She's been saying for ages she could do better. Tonight she learned what better actually costs. We had been together nearly 2 years, not the fireworks and fairy tales kind of love, just solid, familiar, reliable. I'm a design engineer, long days, decent money, nothing flashy. She works in marketing, client lunches, rooftop launches, endless stories about who knows whom. She used to tell me she loved how steady I was, how I never needed to flex to feel secure. That was before her circle grew louder, before the influencer-style brunches, before the constant chatter about levels and glow-ups. For her 28th, I planned something intimate. Her favorite downtown spot with the amber lamps and the old jazz trio. I reserved the table weeks ahead, made sure her inner circle could make it, even bought the delicate bracelet she'd lingered over in a shop window months earlier. The evening began beautifully. She looked breathtaking. Her friends were kind. For the first hour I actually thought, this is one we'll tell our kids about someday. But the cracks had been forming for months. Tiny digs about my career not being aspirational. Teasing remarks about the same watch I've worn since university. Comments you ignore once, twice, 10 times. Until they start sounding like confessions she was too spineless to voice plainly. That night everything crystallized. It started innocently enough, one of her friends asking, half joking, "So do you ever think of jumping to something bigger? You're too sharp to stay hidden in that role, right?" Before I could answer, she jumped in with that glossy laugh I once found charming. "Oh no, he's happy tinkering with his little prototypes. It's endearing, really." The word endearing landed like a velvet-covered brick. They laughed politely. She watched my face to see if it stung. That was the point. It wasn't for them. It was for her, proof she had outgrown me. I stayed quiet, smiled, even lifted my glass when someone toasted to another trip around the sun. Because I refused to give her the outburst she secretly craved. People like that thrive on your humiliation. They mistake composure for surrender. When the bill arrived, she leaned in and whispered, "Don't pout, babe, it was just banter." I smiled. "I know. I'm just finished finding it funny." She still didn't understand. None of them did, not until I stood, placed the card down, and said, "Then you're going to adore the rest of your life without me." Stunned faces, clattering cutlery, the sudden hush, all of it blurred into background static. What I remember most is the sensation. Not heartbreak, not rage, just crystalline certainty. The kind you feel when you finally stop auditioning for someone who never bought a ticket. Later, I gathered the few things she kept at my place. Charger, hoodie, the $1,000 serum she swore I'd destroy if I moved them, and set them neatly by the door. I didn't smash frames or block numbers in a tantrum. When you're truly done, you don't explode. You become very, very quiet. I thought that was the end. Then, around midnight, a message from one of the girls at the table. "Hey, just wanted to say you handled that flawlessly. She's been telling us for weeks that she's settling, that she's only with you because you're safe. Tonight she finally said it to your face." I didn't reply. Not because it didn't matter, because it no longer wounded me. The message didn't shock me. It only confirmed what my gut had whispered for months. She had stopped being my partner long before that dinner. She was just waiting for me to give her an exit. What she never expected was that I'd take it first. Next morning, 27 missed calls and a flood of texts. "Can we talk? You just stormed out, that was childish." "It was a joke, don't blow it out of proportion." I stared at the screen, then flipped the phone over, made coffee, watched sunlight slide across the kitchen counter. That silence tasted better than any apology she could manufacture. Around noon came a knock. I opened the door to find her in oversized sunglasses, hair in a flawless ponytail, clutching a little paper bag. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. She scanned the apartment like a stranger. "You actually left me sitting there last night. You humiliated me." I lifted an eyebrow. "You're embarrassed." "Fascinating." She exhaled sharply, sank onto the couch, and set the bag on the coffee table. Inside was the bracelet from the night before. "You should take this back. I don't feel right keeping it." I glanced at it. "Keep it. It suits the version of you from last night far better than it ever suited us." Her mouth tightened. "You're seriously ending almost 2 years over one dumb comment?" I leaned against the counter. "It wasn't one comment, Mia. It was the curtain finally falling. You said out loud what you've believed for months." She stared at her hands, then quieter. "I didn't mean it like that." "You meant it exactly like that. You just never thought I'd hear it." A beat. "So what now? You just vanish?" "Pretty much." She rose, grabbed her purse. For a second I thought tears were coming. They didn't. Instead she said, "You'll regret this. People don't walk away from me." I gave a small shrug. "Then I'll be the first." The door clicked shut. The apartment didn't feel empty. It felt light. That night I finally powered my phone back on. A storm of messages from her, some furious, some bargaining, and then one from a number I didn't know. "Hey, I was at the dinner. You did the right thing. She's been bad-mouthing you for weeks, saying she's only with you because you're predictable." I typed a single word, "thanks," and deleted the chat. Days passed in perfect quiet. Then a mutual friend forwarded a screenshot. Her latest post, cocktail in hand, caption, "Learning to release what no longer serves my growth sparkles." The irony almost made me chuckle. People love preaching growth when they're the ones who poison the plant. A week later, another message, this time from the friend who'd asked about the gala. "Hey, probably shouldn't tell you this, but Mia's been sleeping with her old boss for months. She told us you two were ethically non-monogamous. Guess she forgot to mention that part to you." I sat there, pieces clicking. The late meetings, the weekend conferences, the way she'd snatch her phone away. I wasn't furious. I was just exhausted. A couple of nights later, an anonymous text, "HR is investigating your ex and her boss." Someone forwarded their message thread. "She's in deep." I didn't ask who sent it. I didn't need to know. I just drank my coffee and watched the city lights flicker on. Some punishments you don't have to deliver. People hand them to themselves, one careless smirk at a time. By the end of that week, her profiles vanished. Mutual friends stopped saying her name. She became a ghost, fitting, really. When people ask what happened, I keep it simple, nothing explosive, just a calm conclusion that was overdue. Because sometimes love doesn't end in fireworks or long speeches. It ends with a steady voice saying, "Then I guess you deserve someone on your level," and the quiet, certain sound of footsteps walking away. 3 weeks later, the gossip had mostly dried up. Then Jenna texted again, just a warning, things are collapsing for her. HR confirmed the affair. Boss is suspended, she's next. I read it, set the phone down. No triumph, no bitterness, just stillness. Justice that arrives without your fingerprints feels cleaner. The next morning I stopped at our old cafe. The barista grinned. "Long time no see." "You good? Better than I've been in years," I said and meant it. I took my usual window seat. Peace doesn't shout, it just settles. That night another message from an unknown number. "You probably hate me, but I'm sorry for everything. I lost my job. They called it conduct unbecoming. But we both know the real reason. I wish you'd talk to me instead of disappearing." I stared at the screen a long time, then typed, "You talked enough for both of us." I finally listened. Phone off. A few days later, Jenna again. Get this, after she got fired, she tried telling everyone you leaked the messages. HR dug deeper and found her own bragging texts. Now they're talking legal action for mishandling company data. I didn't answer. There was nothing to say. I hadn't lifted a finger. Sometimes simply leaving the stage is the loudest statement you can make. Her name faded from conversations. Work filled my days. Nights became mine again, cooking proper meals, reading books I'd abandoned, reclaiming the small joys I'd shelved to keep someone else comfortable. One night Jenna messaged something different. "You know what always struck me? Everyone expected you to yell or cause a scene that night. You didn't, you just rose and left." She couldn't stop talking about how small it made her feel, first time in years. I smiled at the screen, not from malice, from recognition. That evening wasn't about revenge. It was about retrieving the self-respect I didn't realize I'd misplaced. A month later, I bumped into Jenna at the same cafe. She asked to join. We talked about everything and nothing. Conversation flowed without performance or scorekeeping. Before she left, she said quietly, she never understood what she threw away. She thought power lived in status. You proved it lives in silence. And you always had more of it than she ever will. I didn't have a reply, so I just nodded. Later that week, another text from Mia, new number, same energy, heard you're dating Jenna now. Guess she finally got her prize. I didn't respond, not because she was right or wrong, but because the man she knew would have answered. That man no longer exists. She once declared I was beneath her league. Maybe she was correct all along. Because the calm, unshakable happiness I walk in now is a height she will never climb to. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Some people scale mountains to be seen. Others grow inward until they need no audience at all. I chose the second path. I chose peace, and months later, walking hand in hand with Jenna on a cool evening that smelled like coming rain, she asked, "Do you ever think about her?" I considered it. Not really. Sometimes I think about that night, not her, just the feeling. What feeling? I smiled. Like finally exhaling after holding my breath for 2 years. She squeezed my hand. We kept walking, no music, no spotlight, no need for applause. A few days after that, I found the paper bag with the bracelet, still untouched, in a drawer. I carried it to the donation bin outside the grocery store and dropped it in. It didn't feel like releasing her. It felt like releasing the version of me who thought he had to earn what should have been freely given. She once said I was below her level. Perhaps I always was. Because where I stand now, quiet, whole, and genuinely content, she will never reach. And for the first time in years, I'm grateful for the difference.